Switch Radio Sport. This is Switch.
Joining me today is the Sporting KHALSA manager, Andy Mulligan. Andy, thank you for joining me today. Congratulations on the 13 points that you've already achieved so far this season in your first season in Tier 3. A massive 3 points on Sunday as well with that 1-0 win versus Halifax. Do you think that scoreline told the whole story?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was going to be a completely different game to the home game that we played against them. You know, they'd got some different players, and we'd had the benefit of obviously watching them against Derby, and I thought they were very good. They were very good against Derby, specifically in the second half. I think they didn't give up, and I think they pressed and caused lots of issues and problems. So we knew it was going to be a difficult game, and again at their place on a very narrow pitch, and how much they'd got in the faces of Derby the week before, we knew that it was going to be, a tough afternoon, and that's what it proved to be. I think in terms of scoreline, probably, certainly in the first few minutes of the game, we had two gilt-edged chances where I think if we'd have put them away, maybe the game would have been a little bit more easier than it was. And that's no disrespect to Halifax. I think you get 1-2-0 up in a game quite early, and then you gain control of it. And I think as the game went on and it's kind of 0-0, you're always susceptible to the opposition potentially breaking and causing problems. But I think second half, bar a fantastic save from Elise at a very crucial stage in the game, I felt like we got control of the game, and I felt like, we just needed to keep calm and look after the ball and keep doing the right things. And there was multiple opportunities. We had lots of set pieces, corners, and kind of a few open opportunities. In fact, we could have gone 2-0 after we'd just scored, and Layla Kennedy had gone through, and she kind of, just hit the ball and it clipped the post and went wide. So, we could have rued that opportunity and that chance. But no, I think in general, we knew it would be difficult. We knew they would make things hard, and ultimately from our perspective, we knew that it was a kind of, a game that we didn't want to lose the opportunity to go there and get 3 points.
Yeah, well, that takes you there 7 points clear of the relegation area with a better goal average versus the 11th place team. Surely you'd have taken that at the start of the season, wouldn't you, Andy?
Yeah, and I think I've said multiple times that, we were in a situation where we didn't have any or maybe one or two players that had some Tier 3 experience. So everything that we've done over the season from the start to where we are now has been learning on the job, as I've said previously. And I think, if we could have got to this point and you'd have said March the 9th, we would be in a position where we're kind of 7 points clear and the goal difference being what it is. I think it's 20 difference. Admittedly, Stourbridge have got a game in hand. We would have took it, and I think the start of the season was tough, and it's took a lot of resilience and a lot of hard work and determination and clever recruitment and lots of people influencing what we need to do to get to the point where after 9 defeats, that's what I want to remind you, Jonathan. We started the season and we lost 9 games in a row. And for a team that won probably 80-90% of their games last season to come into Tier 3 and start the season like that, I just, think it's fantastic from the club and the girls' perspective that we've turned it round and put ourselves in such a strong position.
Yeah, that's a very fair point you raise there. Yeah, people might forget about that start, but you've certainly, like you say, turned it round and got used to the league, haven't you? And talking about getting used to the league, you mentioned in your post-match interview that went out on social media that you've been playing well this season, but not actually got the points. But what you have done successfully is get points from teams that are better than you in regards to in the league position. So the likes of Albion and Derby, you got 4 points off those this season. That's really helped you obviously build confidence, but also stay above 2 teams in the league as well.
Yeah, and I think there's been other games if you look back and you kind of you look at the first half performances against Rugby, we're coming at 1-1. You look at the Nottingham Forest game, the second game, the improvements from that. I've said previously, the game that we played them second game of the season come too early. Forest are an outstanding team, and I'm not saying that in any danger of winning them games, but certainly coming off in that game the other week, where we were upset we didn't get a draw in that game. And I think there's been other games, where we've had really good opportunities and really good moments in games. We haven't took them opportunities, and they've kind of cost us later on in games. And even the first game of the season, against Derby, I think we took the lead, and then it went 1-1, and it was quite a tight game. And then the last kind of 20 minutes, 30 minutes of that game, I think it was the last 15, 20 minutes, we ended up losing the game 4-1, but we didn't feel like it was a 4-1 game. So I think when you look at it over a season, you realise that probably where players were at the start of the season is certainly not where the players are now. And, the training, the intensity of training, the additional stuff that we've put in for players, the S&C, the physio, making sure that players are looked after and kept on the pitch and protected, and the rotation of the squad and the recruitment, really. The recruitment's been really important. And I think when you're bringing players in, you've got to make sure that they're going to add to the group, and that they're good people as much as they are good players. So we've been fully aware of what we're doing in the background, even though results probably, from the outside has not been where they need to be. But we know that we've been in these games, and even complimented by the opposition when we've come off on kind of 4 or 5-1 losses, and they're like, just keep doing what you're doing, because you've produced throughout that whole game, and you've caused us major issues, but just haven't put the ball in the net.
Yeah, I can understand that, absolutely. And you mentioned two things there that leads me on to this next question. You mentioned recruitment and intensity of training. What would you put your success down to this season? Would you say it's recruitment and the training?
I think some of it's recruitment, some of it's intensity, and I think, know-how as well. And I've been in the game a long time. I've been in relegation battles before. I've been in, obviously, teams that have won leagues, etc. So I think it's experience. I think it's the understanding and know-how of learning quickly, so that when you play against these teams first time, you make sure that you learn from it. And there's been a lot of stuff that we've done on analysis. There's been a lot of stuff that we've done in preparation. And I think it's not having the ignorance of just playing one way. I'm a very attacking manager, and I'd love to go head to head with every team we play, but you've got to be fully aware of what their threats are. And if we'd have gone the way that we played last season in games, when we'd find ourselves 3-4-5-0 down very, very quickly. So I think the versatility from the players to be able to play multiple formations. Even yesterday, we switched to a different formation to shut the game out, and I think the girls clearly know how to play 3 formations very, very comfortably. And that helps, because different personnel for different players. Looking at the bench yesterday, I'd got a lot more depth there, but there's been so much work going in the background to recruit players and to recruit the right players. And so I think it's a balance. In answer to your question, I think it's a balance of different things. And I think it's the experience level of, myself, knowing what we need to do and what we need to achieve, and trying to block out what anyone else is doing, and focus on what we're doing.
Yeah, I thoroughly understand. I do, yeah. Since we last spoke, it was just about Christmas time, and since then, Stubbsy has returned due to a lengthy absence due to injury. How pleased were you to see her get back on the pitch?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. She's worked really hard, and it was unfortunate, the injury, the ACL that she got, and it's been a long road back. And any player that listens to this interview will know how difficult it is, and mentally, not only physically, how hard it is to get back. And we've had to put a lot of work in to get games on, and fortunately, we've played a couple of games over the last week that we've managed to get her minutes, and none other than last Wednesday. And she got a couple of goals Wednesday in a friendly, and that really helped her and put us in a confidence level that we knew we could start her on Sunday. So really proud of her, really pleased of her, and I'm really pleased with the girls. How supportive they've been, and the togetherness that we've got across the group to help players and support them to get back to the best. But certainly Stubbsy's a big player, and she's almost like a new signing coming back into the squad.
Yeah, certainly great to see her back, wasn't it? Yeah. From a neutral, from an outsider looking in, you appear to have good relationships with teams within the area to help bring players in or on loan. How important do you feel it is that clubs can have these networks?
I think it's crucial, and it's a testament to the clubs that we work with, because they see the bigger picture, and even though they're in the same league as us, they recognise that Sporting KHALSA is not on the level. No disrespect to the teams that are in the top 4, 5, 6 of this league. Yes, we can compete, and we have done, like you've said, with some of the teams that are in and around that kind of mid-table area, and we have competed in games for certain periods of time with the top 4. But from the perspective of players bringing in, yes, it is relationships, and I think it's important that they know that they're coming into a professional environment, and that they are going to get that level of training and similar similar things that they get at their parent club, knowing that we're preparing them to go back to their parent club, and that we're not kind of deviating from any agreement that we've got with them. My focus has been over the season individual player development, and I think if you can do that, and you've got enough players that are improving over the season, and other players can see that, and other clubs can see that, then they recognise that Sporting KHALSA is a great environment for them to get tier 3 experience, because the jump difference from kind of reserve team football or kind of 10 minutes coming off the bench is not going to get them close enough to break back into their parent club's team. So yeah, relationships is crucial, and that's not something that's happened overnight. That's something that's happened over a number of years, and we've proved that we can bring players in and we can support their learning journey, and that comes from a combination of lots of different things, trusting the process from the parent club and player perspective.
Yeah, it's nice to see, isn't it? It really is. Mathematically, it's not confirmed yet, but realistically, you're looking likely to be in this league again next season. Do you feel that the club is now set up to build on this season's achievements going into the summer?
I think in terms of what we're looking at, we still feel like we've got to get more points on the board. So I know what you're saying. Kind of 7 points, and the goal difference is where it is. But I think, we're fully focused on this season at the moment and not focused on next season. We want to get as many points as we possibly can with the remaining games. We've got a points tally that we're focused on, and we're also in the County Cup still. So we've got a difficult fixture in the County Cup midweek, and we want to retain the County Cup, the Women's Challenge Cup. It's something that we're proud that we won last season. Very difficult thing to do with a quality team like Stoke, that have won it for many, many years. And I know they'll be working hard to try and win it back. So I don't think we're focused on next season at the minute, Jonathan. I think we're very much focused on, getting the job done, focusing on the cup competition, and then there'll be conversations about, what next season looks like. But, one thing I will say is things for next season the bar will be raised again, and it's likely that there'll be some very good teams getting promoted back into the league, and if we get the job done and KHALSA are in that league, then there's certainly things that need to happen to make that step further to kind of let us compete, even more with the teams that are above us, because otherwise each season, if you're not moving forward, then unfortunately you will get pulled down.
Switch Radio Sport. This is Switch.